Hi guys, and welcome back to Tech Tutor Thursdays. This week and next, we are talking cybersecurity, privacy, and internet safety. In this video and next week's video, I am going to cover the basics of staying safe online, including creating secure accounts and passwords, avoiding online scams, viruses, online privacy, and safe internet use. Since we are going to cover a lot of ground in the cybersecurity topic, I am going to split this video into 2 weeks, and today I am going to focus on creating secure accounts and online privacy. Next week, we will dive into online scams, viruses, and safe internet use. I hope you guys enjoy this and find it helpful. Now let's get started. Okay, so let's talk about creating secure accounts. We are going to go over creating accounts, creating secure passwords, remembering your login information, maintaining your account security, and logging into accounts. Remember, this video is going to be covering the basics. So let's talk about secure usernames. When you are creating an account with a website or even an email address, your username must be unique, as in no two accounts on that website can have the same username. This can be a bummer when you have a go-to username and then you find it is taken and won't work for a specific site, but that is standard for website accounts. Also, sometimes it is challenging to find a username that is not already in use. It often helps to add numbers, a last name, or initials until a unique username has been created. Sometimes you can use your email address instead of a unique username, and sometimes you don't have a choice. The website makes you use your email address. Usernames typically contain numbers and letters and occasionally contain symbols such as the @ symbol or punctuation such as periods or an exclamation point. Periods and dashes are often okay, spaces usually are not. Finally, usernames are not usually case sensitive, as in you can enter your username in all caps or all lowercase or a combination, and typically it will recognize the username either way. This is unlike passwords, which are always case sensitive, but we'll get to that. For passwords, your password should always be kept private. Different websites will have different requirements for your password, so your password should vary from account to account. Unlike usernames, passwords can typically contain a combination of letters, numbers, punctuation, and symbols, but like I just mentioned, the site will specifically tell you what their requirements are for passwords as you are creating the new password. Also, like I mentioned before, passwords are always case sensitive. Meaning, if you capitalize a letter or several letters when you create a password, you must always type the password in the exact same way, or else the website will reject it and keep you out of your account. With passwords, using a combination of upper and lower cases, punctuation, numbers, and letters creates a more secure password that others will not be able to figure out. Also, you should always choose something that is hard to guess. Avoid common names and personal information such as your name, your birthday, etc. And please avoid creating a password that is 12345 or something similar that is easy to guess. Also, I didn't include this on this slide, but best practice is to not use the same password for every account. If a hacker gets a hold of one password and all your passwords are the exact same, they have then gained access to all of your accounts. Next, we have logging in and maintaining your account security. After you have created an account and username and password combination, you will need to enter that username for that account and the password exactly the way you created it. Like I mentioned before, the password will need to be entered exactly the way you created it, as far as capitalization and such goes. While usernames likely will not be case sensitive, but you will need to enter the exact username. It is also a good idea to write your passwords and username combinations down on paper and keep it secure so that you don't lose it. It is also helpful to make sure you write your password down the exact way that you entered it on the website. Capitalization, symbols, and all. I find it helpful to keep all of my account information, such as usernames and passwords, written down on one piece of paper which I keep in a secure location with other important documents. If it's possible, you should utilize security questions and authentication measures to maintain your account security. Security questions are often the questions such as, what street did you live on growing up, or what was your first pet's name, those kinds of things. You will need to remember that answer though. So if you need to, write it down where you have written down your username and password. If you set security questions, then get locked out of your account, but you have forgotten the answers to those questions, you are likely going to remain locked out of your account because these security questions are sort of like an extra layer of protection, so that if someone guesses your username and password, they would also need to know the answer to those security questions. Another method for maintaining account security is utilizing two-factor authentication. Many websites do this as a security measure, and basically authentication means that you would log into your account, and after you type in your username and password, a text, a notification, or a link in an email will be sent to the device of your choosing to verify that it is in fact you trying to log in. I know this can be a little annoying if you're trying to do something quickly, or you don't have your phone or whatever it is on you, but in the event someone gains access to your login information, this would prevent that person from getting into your account, and it would alert you that someone has tried. In the event you have forgotten your password, these steps can be used to prove that it is actually you who is trying to log in, and it can be used to reset your password and regain access to your account. These security measures also ensure that other people would need to jump through extra hoops to get into your account, which only protects your accounts and personal information from becoming compromised. So very briefly, here are two sort of generic examples of what security questions and multi-factor or two-factor authentication looks like. And then here's an example of what the process of resetting your password looks like. Typically, when you are on the login page for whatever website, underneath the boxes where you type in your information, there will be a link that says forgot password or forgot username or something similar. If you click on that, it will take you to a page to answer your security questions or participate in verification, either by email or phone, where you are either sent a link or a code to your device or your email that would then prove it is in fact you trying to get into the account. This depends entirely on you and how you have your account set up. I will say it is very easy to forget a password if you don't have it written down and kept somewhere secure. So it is always a good idea to have these measures set up in the event you forget a password, but also, of course, to protect your privacy. If you forget a password and don't know the answers to your security questions, or you don't have access to the email you used to create the account, whatever the situation is, it becomes much, much harder to regain access. And while this can be annoying, if it were a hacker trying to get into your account, this would be a good thing as it would prevent them from gaining access. So, in short, please create security questions with answers you will remember. Please use an email account or a phone that you have access to. And this will not only better protect your account and security, but also help you out in the event you forget your password or username. Okay, so we have discussed creating secure usernames and passwords and how to maintain your account security. So now I am going to mention a few more things to keep in mind. Before you create an account with a website, make sure it is a legitimate website. You can check this by looking at the address bar to ensure the site is secure. And if it is, you will see a little padlock icon, likely at the far left side of the web address. Secure websites will also start with HTTPS rather than just HTTP. So to demonstrate this, I have switched from my PowerPoint over to my web browser, and I've gone to Google's website. So if we look, we can see the little padlock symbol at the left side of the web address. And then if we click on the web address twice, we will see that it does say HTTPS before the rest of the web address. This may look a little different depending on the browser you use. I am using Google Chrome, but it should be something similar. Another thing to keep in mind, it is always a good idea to log out of accounts when you are finished with your work. This is especially important if you are using a public computer. Oftentimes, simply closing the page will not actually log you out. But it is good practice to just go ahead and log out of your account whenever you're finished, no matter if you're on a public computer or if you are on a personal device. Like I discussed before, using security questions and authentication measures helps keep others from accessing your personal information. So if those are available, it is always a good idea to utilize those extra security measures. It is also best practice to change passwords periodically, and definitely change your password if you suspect a threat has been posed to your account. You should always create passwords that are difficult for people to guess, and you shouldn't use the same password for every account. I know this can be difficult, both to remember every password and also to come up with new passwords. But if every account has the exact same password, it is more likely that if a hacker or something gets access to one account, they will then have access to all of your accounts. Okay, so now we are going to move on to online privacy. So online privacy is a crazy huge topic, and it is really important today to be at least a little aware of online privacy issues, because so much of everyday life is conducted online. And again, we are just covering the basics here. So internet privacy refers to the privacy level of personal information on the internet. And that definition was retrieved from techopedia.com. It is important to be aware of how your personal information is being used and how private things are online. For example, when you are searching the internet, searches are often saved on the computer or device you are using, and then people using that device later can see what you have been searching for. But aside from other people using your device and seeing what you have searched for, the search engine companies can see what you are searching for and the websites you are visiting. This is how, if you were scrolling through your social media, you may see ads for things that you have searched for or websites that you had been browsing. You can control some of the information that is tracked and saved on your web browser, and you can utilize private or incognito browsers to lightly protect yourself from tracking. And I will demonstrate that in a moment. When you are browsing a website, the owner or owners of the website can even see things such as the device you are using and how you are interacting on their website. So it's important to make sure you are browsing secure websites. You can verify this by looking at the address bar, which I have already demonstrated, but I'll demonstrate again in a moment. Another thing to keep in mind is online shopping on sites that aren't secure, that don't have that padlock or start with HTTPS, as hackers can see what you're doing and possibly steal your personal information on websites that are unsecure. Another thing to keep in mind about privacy and online shopping is that sometimes you need to create an account to shop online, and sometimes you can order as a guest. It's important that if you create an account or you enter payment information or really any personal information, that you are sure the website is secure. But also, until you make that account, the website or online store can see what you're doing on their website, but they can't actually identify you. Before creating an account on a website, you should check out their About page, make sure the website is secure, and maybe even check out that company's privacy policy just to make sure things are legitimate. Also, oftentimes when you shop online, companies will automatically try to enroll you into marketing emails, but this is something you can typically opt out of. Some suggestions for safer internet use are to search the web in a private browser or in incognito mode, which I will move over to my browser in Google Chrome to demonstrate in just a moment. Searching in a private browser won't completely protect you, but it will keep your search history and things more private, and it provides some light protection from online tracking. Next, like I have said several times already, and will probably continue to say, ensure that the websites you visit start with HTTPS or have the padlock symbol or some other symbol before entering personal information. But really, try to avoid websites that aren't secure just altogether. Finally, you can control what information is tracked and saved on your web browser to a degree. So now I have switched over to my web browser, which is on Google Chrome. And first I will demonstrate using incognito mode or private browsing. This may be a little different in different browsers, but in Google Chrome, you can come up to these three little dots and then click there. And then here you see new tab, new window, and then new incognito window. You could also use the command Control Shift and then the letter N to open a new incognito window, but I'm just going to click here. And then here we see I've gone incognito. Anyone else on this device wouldn't be able to see what I do, but it will also, like I said, kind of lightly protect you from the Google Chrome tracking your browsing history and information. And then to check out the privacy settings on your web browser, you would just come back up to these three little dots, and then you'd go down to settings. So even if you're not using Google Chrome, your privacy and security settings will always be under settings on whatever browser you choose to use. So once you get there, you will be able to find privacy and security, just like we have here on Google Chrome. So here I am in my settings, and I'm just going to go to privacy and security. And then here we can go, well, first we could clear our browsing data. And then underneath we could go to site settings. And then unfortunately, I'm not going to show you guys exactly what you should be opting in or out of. That's completely up to you. But I do want to show you what kinds of things you can control and what it sort of looks like so you can explore on your own. So here in site settings, we have different permissions for sites. So we can do things such as block third-party cookies, which are responsible for the personalized ads. You can control location and camera access. You can block ads and pop-ups, and so on. So then if we go back, we can also check out, go under more, and then we can check out these things. So we have things such as safe browsing. We can send a do not track request with our browsing and other things. So I do encourage you to check that out just to get a feel for all of the different privacy settings out there and how you can possibly protect yourself better. Okay, so I've switched back to my PowerPoint, and I'm going to wrap up Cybersecurity Part 1 by going over privacy and social media. A lot of people share a lot of information over social media, but you do have the power to control your online privacy on these sites and lock your profiles down to better protect yourself. My first rule of thumb is that you can be very wary, distrustful of random friend requests and messages from people you don't know, from accounts who have very few, if any, mutual friends, and from accounts that lack a lot of details, such as about information or real-looking photos, activity on their profiles, etc. You can simply delete these unwanted friend requests or simply don't respond to them. If you receive a message from someone you don't know or someone you do know, but it appears that their account has been hacked, or the message is spam, or the message is odd or just out of the ordinary for that friend and it makes you a little wary, just don't respond to it. Do not engage, and if you feel it necessary, block that message or that person. Sometimes our real friends' profiles do become hacked, and we may receive messages from people that we do know to be real, but the message is just obviously out of the ordinary or clearly spam. It is also important to be aware of the website or social media site's privacy policies, which can be found in your settings under privacy. I've kind of included a little clip here just from Facebook. From here, you can also adjust your privacy settings, and on Facebook, you can do things like prevent people from sending you friend requests. You can control how people find your profile. You can change your settings to control who sees your posts. And you can even adjust the privacy settings for individual posts to control who sees those individual posts. There are really quite a few things you can do on Facebook to sort of lock down your profile, and that would be way too much time to do right now, but let me know if that is something you guys would be interested in. Otherwise, I do encourage you to explore your Facebook settings, look and see what all you can do, and change things to fit your needs and preferences. Okay, guys, so that wraps up Cybersecurity Part 1. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful and informative. And next week we will cover scams, viruses, and safe internet use in Cybersecurity Part 2. As always, let me know if you have any further questions, or let me know if something interested you and you want to know more, or if there is something else you are wanting to learn more about. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week.